When people talk about value in the watch market, most often they refer to the resale value of a specific timepiece. That is confusing price with value. Value is a completely different thing, and it generally has four components. If you confuse price with value, price being the retail price and the secondary market price, with value, which is something to consider for a more long-term period, you will land into a lot of trouble. And a lot of modern collectors and first-time entrants into the market make this mistake. So value is broken up into four core dimensions. The first being financial value, which includes the resale and the retail value. These are probably some of the first considerations you will come across when considering this idea of value in the watch market, because it's the most obvious. When you go to purchase a timepiece, the first issue you'll be confronted with, apart from the brand that you are interested in, is the price. And hopefully you've also considered resale value, although if you've got a different strategy or technique to your investment and collecting process, resale value might not be so important. The second element of value is cultural value. This is very interesting because it sort of lands you into different geographical discussions. If you are targeting a Swiss market, the Swiss watches have got the richest history, and they've got the richest history in the Swiss market. And close in proximity to that is the European market, which also feeds into the Swiss watch market. But when you go to a continent like Asia or Africa or the United States, buyer behaviors differ, and their styles, tastes, and reasons for collecting differ too. So cultural value is crucially important. Then craft value. I think this is something that's honestly overlooked the most by first entrants into the market, as well as even old school collectors, because the craft value of a timepiece is often the most significant element of the value of that watch, because you need to look at who the actual watchmaker was that created or crafted the movement of the timepiece. Are you purchasing a quartz or a mechanical watch? They have different considerations, different values, different cultural impacts too. And if you are purchasing, for example, a watch with a manufacture movement versus a watch with an independent hand-finished movement, they are crucially distinguishable features of your watch collection and very important elements to value. The final element to value would be personal value. And this is something you need to consider before you even take that first step into an authorized dealer or to make that secondary market purchase. What personal value does this timepiece hold for you? Are you buying it because you love the watch? That's great. Are you buying it as an investment, or are you buying it to prove a point? And all of those elements are valid, but you need to understand the personal value of that timepiece for your collection and for your outlook going forward into future watch collecting. And this really ties into something crucially important, and this is the social media distortion effect. And this often creates, or it's often created by creating these speculative bubbles, and that forces price spikes, a lot of volatility into the market, and a lot of uncertainty with watch collecting. And I think the first thing you need to do is to avoid the social media distortion effect. Do not purchase a watch based off what you see online. And this might sound counterintuitive, but it's not. Trust your gut. Go with personal value and craft value more so than financial value and cultural value initially. That would be my opinion. Because jumping onto the social media trends would be problematic for long-term collecting, most likely. Social media has only existed for, or strongly existed for, 10, 15, 20 years, but collecting timepieces and luxury timepieces have existed for hundreds of years. So that would be really a really important consideration. And then it's to distinguish between speculative demand and structural demand. Speculative demand is tying into the social media distortion effect, where there's this demand created for certain watch brands based off what people see online, and it's immediate impulse. It's not driven by structured and long-term decision-making initiatives or intuitiveness. Structural demand, however, creates this idea of multi-generational equity. So which brands have really, withstood the test of time? That's really the most important decision to factor into your conception of value in the watch market, because structural demand and structural purchases will result in a much stronger collection over the period of time if this is what you are interested in. So speculative demand is great for short term, and it creates excitement in the market, and it actually does have an impact on structural demand, but that doesn't last. It's very cyclical, very volatile. Structural demand should be the thing you focus on the most to get a really strong collection going.